What up, what up, what up? It's Kilo, and we are back for another episode of the regular podcast.
It's real.
What's going on, family? What's going on, good people? It's we're back. It's been a long week for me. As y'all seen, if you watched last week's episode, I was sick all week. I'm really still getting over it, so I'm not fully back yet. But I'm here. I didn't feel like missing this week because it's a lot going on, and I wanted to get to it. Before we get into any of these topics, though, make sure you like this video, make sure you comment, make sure you share the video, make sure you subscribe to the page, the YouTube page. That's the regular podcast on YouTube. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram or follow me on Instagram until I get a real team at the regular network on Instagram. Also, subscribe to the larger network page on YouTube, the regular network. All that's DIY content right now, like home renovation type stuff. And it's going to stay like that because that just makes the most sense. All right, so look, one of the biggest things going on, like conversations on social media right now, is this whole Simone Biles and her husband. Her husband name is Jonathan Owens. He did an interview on the Pivot podcast, right? And that's with Ryan Clark, Channing. Dang, what's his last name? Channing Frye? I can't think of his last name. Channing, and then Fred Taylor. So Jonathan Owens is up there. Jonathan Owens is a Green Bay Packers safety right now, right? Solid player. He was undrafted, but you can go watch his story, listen to his story, everything like that. But anyway, this whole thing is going viral right now because the young man Jonathan Owens tells the story of how he and Simone Biles first come in contact with each other via a dating app called Raya, right? So people are mad. The reason that is viral right now, right, is because people, mostly women, I don't like to do the gender wars thing, but it really is a lot of women, are mad at the way he told the story of how they met, right? And I can't tell if they're really mad because they feel like he's lying about not knowing. Because he said in the story when he was telling it, Jonathan Owens said he didn't know who Simone Biles was at that time, which was 2020, right? So according to him, he didn't know who she was. He just thought she looked cute or whatever, and he swiped. Whatever way that you match with somebody, he did that. He did what he had to do to match up with her. He just liked the way she looked, and he saw that she was a gymnast, right? That's what he said. And he also said something like she sent the message to him first. He said he was the prize, all this other type of stuff, right? And it's just causing like a whole bunch of stupid ass conversations on the internet because it's like Simone Biles is sitting in the room with them while they're having this conversation. She's laughing, smiling, cheesing, like big teeth the entire time. She's enjoying it. And even the parts that he get wrong when he was telling the story of how they came to be or whatever, she's correcting him. Meaning the parts that she didn't correct him on, he was spot on. That's what happened. And she also did an interview before at another point in time where she told the same story about them matching on Raya and him not knowing who she was. Now, me personally, I don't believe that he didn't know who she was, but I think that's just I think he's playing. Like that's just a playful thing. Like, yeah, she's a huge superstar. I'm coming up in the league. I just got in the league and I'm trying to get on, trying to make a name for myself. So I'm just acting to my girlfriend like I don't know who she is. They're married now, by the way. But at the time, he just keeping this joke going on forever. When he's 80 years old, he'll probably come and say, yeah, of course I knew who she was. Like, duh. But I think now that's a funny joke that they have. I think he just runs where he keeps on saying it. And I think she thinks it's funny. She likes it. It makes her smile. So that's just what the hell he keeps saying. Who cares, though? Right? But the reason it's so polarizing right now on social media is because they're looking at him and they're saying, like, How could you disrespect her like this? You embarrassing her in front of everybody. You're trying to humble this black woman that's a legend. And I'm like, what? First of all, if you even, because some people are like, don't judge him based on this 30-second clip with no context and all that. Like, F the fact that who cares about the fact that it's a 30-second clip, right? All the context that you need is in the clip. Everything is there. The biggest clue is the wife sitting there smiling. That's the biggest clue that you need to know, which is that they're enjoying each other's company, enjoying each other's story, and she thinks it's funny. Secondly, the whole thing is, if you don't get how black men joke and play when telling stories about like meeting girlfriends or meeting wife, whatever like that, if you don't get how older black men talk to younger black men about meeting their girlfriend and stuff like that, you're not going to understand nothing that happened in this clip. You're not going to understand it at all. So there is no context for you. You can't listen to more parts of the interview to make that part sound good. It's never going to make sense to you. That right there is like going to if you go to it, like, let's say you take your girlfriend over to your family's house and then all your uncles is in there asking you questions about her. That's what's happening. The entire thing is playing. They're all playing. When Ryan Clark says, so I wouldn't be wrong if I said you didn't want Simone Biles. They're playing. All of it is them joking. Like there's no part of it where they are seriously saying anything except for Jonathan telling the story. The whole thing is them playing. They're being playful to say pretty much, we have no idea how you pulled somebody like her. This is, okay, so again, like I said, if you don't understand black men and how we play with each other, how we joke with each other, how we have fun with each other, you're not going to understand that what they were doing was giving him all the respect because they were saying that she is the most respected. We don't even know how you even got this girl. So it's just, all of it is playful. All of it, oh, so you didn't even want her. They're playing. That's what it is. Even Channing even went on to say in a few minutes after was to say, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, you're never going to be as good of a safety as she is a gymnast. That's just how we play. It's like that. Some people, that might hurt your ego or whatever. But when one black man talking to another black man, especially an older black man talking to a younger black man, you're not going to take offense to that because you understand that's how we play with each other. I'm not talking like, oh, this is just like boys talk, locker room talk. No, specifically, this is just how black men play with each other. It's fun. It's playful. They're joking. The wife is sitting right there. She's having fun because she understands that that's how black men play with each other. What's the problem? There's people on the internet right now saying she need to divorce this man because of this clip. There's people on the internet saying, hey, hit me up when you need a divorce lawyer. I got one for you. There's people saying, I know that this marriage is not going to last long. I don't know, like if they put out, free crack samples or whatever before y'all watch this video, but somebody got to tell me what's going on in y'all heads for y'all to react to him telling their origin story the way that y'all are reacting. Some of y'all are reacting. I think some people are just as like confused as me as to why y'all acting like this. But I see a lot more people are really feeding into this. I seen one girl say, and I mess with her. Her name is Amani Talk. She got a little podcast, not a little podcast. She has a podcast, right? And she on there like chasing a man. She pretty much went crazy on the situation, talking about Simone Biles chasing a man. So now he's your girlfriend. And I'm like, yo, so Simone Biles, one of the most popular athletes on the planet right now, one of the most accomplished athletes in the history of the world, because this is a world competition, right? So she's one of the most accomplished world historic athletes. And you don't think she's going to be the one approaching? People are probably nervous to say anything to her. And of course, you shouldn't be nervous, but some people probably would be. to say anything to this young lady. Mostly because you think like, man, she probably don't want to be bothered right now. So yeah, she probably has to reach out to people and say stuff to people first and all that. And she liked him, he liked her. What's the issue? They ended up getting married. So I do want people to like, I want you to go sit in the mirror. I want you to go sit in front of a mirror, look at yourself, and just like say, I'm weird. Just be like, I'm strange. Say, I'm weird. I don't have people skills. I don't have understanding in social settings. I'm a strange person. Just look in the mirror and say that to yourself. Just like, I'm strange. I'm a weirdo. I don't know how to read people. Just do that. Like, sit with yourself. Do that every day. Just every day. Just go back to the mirror. Just say that to yourself. I'm strange. I don't understand humans. I don't get it. Because y'all, it's just blowing me. Like, it's those black men was having a good time, having a good conversation. They was not putting that woman down. They was giving her all the respect. That's just what it's gonna be when the old heads think you done got somebody that's out your league. That's what that conversation was. How you get this woman that's out your league? We about to hype this whole thing out. Yo, you the prize. You ain't even want her, did you? It's fair to say you didn't even want Simone Biles. They're playing. I don't even know. And this is leading me right into something else I want to say, because I'm glad that being on a dating app worked for Simone Biles and worked for Jonathan Owens and everything like that, and much success to them. Y'all know Simone Biles is originally from Ohio. So I'm putting all the respect on her name. I didn't like when the situation happened with her brother a couple years ago. They had her name and face all up in the headlines talking like, come on, he grew up in Cleveland. His life is different to her. She got shipped down to Texas and she was raised by somebody that was able to help her out. Leave her out of that. But she's an Ohio baby, so I'm going to respect her. I got all the love and respect for her. I don't care if people think she is not the most likable person and all that type of stuff sometimes. Because, people have told stories about seeing her in public and she wasn't that nice. By the way, her husband came out and defended her and said, no, she was going through this, or people was bothering her and we was trying to move. We were trying to get out. So, excuse me, my voice sound kind of funny right now too. Like I said, I'm still getting over the sickness and all that. I think black people need to get off of dating apps. All these dating sites, I think we should just go ahead and retire them. I never used one. I know people that have, though. You know what I'm saying? I know a person that knows a person. I know people that have. I really, really, really want black people, specifically black people in America. And I think black people go globally, honestly. I seen a stat that said in UK, only 1.5% of Tinder users are black. So, I want black people to really, really, really get off of dating apps. And the reason is because I think it's a mind fuck to black people. And I think it's a mind fuck to black women more than anybody. Because when they put out this data that says things like the black woman is the least desired. So they say black women and then Asian men are the least desired group, just completely in all of dating apps, right? And but black women being the number one, right? They also put out data saying that of all women, black women get responded to the least of all women, period. Right? So it's, So of all women, period, right? Men get rejected on dating apps more than women by far. But of all women, black women, they say are the least desired. Now, I want black people to get off of there because I don't think, first of all, there's so many reports that came out that says how big racial bias is on dating apps. Pretty much as soon as they see your race, they're not going to mess with you. Now, I don't think that people should mess with you if they don't like your race. That's cool. But I think it's damaging the self-esteem of black people who use those apps because they're on there really thinking like, I'm about to try to find love. I'm on here because I want to be open. I want to experience something that's different than what I've been experiencing in my worldly dating life. So let me give it a chance. I'm gonna be open to more different types of people. And you get on this dating app, and those people choose you less than the people in your real life. They treat you even worse. They're on there and they're fetishizing you. They're on there maybe playing a joke on you with a fake profile, all that catfishing type of stuff. They're on there just completely, you just can't find a match at all type of stuff. And I think it's doing more harm than good. I don't think it's helping black dating numbers. I don't think it's helping black women marriage numbers. I don't think it's helping anything out. I think it's only hurting the way we see ourselves. And it's definitely hurting because people are looking at these dating apps and the numbers on the dating apps and using that as some type of barometer for what black people want in general as a whole. Only 9% of the black adult population in America even uses Tinder. Only 9%, right? So you get on Tinder, you run into a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of creeps, all this type of stuff. And then in your mind, because you feel like this thing is more popular than it really is, especially with your demographic, you think it's more popular than it really is. You think, oh, this is how black men feel about me. Oh, these black men keep on rejecting me because they want Asian women. They keep rejecting me because they want the Latino woman. They keep rejecting me because they don't want a successful woman with a degree and all this other type of stuff. It's making you internalize this stuff from this dating app. And really, that's a very small sample size of what's really going on. And I think that the types of black men that you're going to find on that dating app is different than the types of black women you find on those dating apps as well. So I think it's also an imbalance in compatibility. I think that a lot of the black men that are on those apps are the type of black men that would have been doing that type of stuff anyway, who we would have called weird or outcasts, or they might be into like different type of things, weird stuff, or they might not be into black women at all. I think that's a lot of what's on those dating apps as far as black men goes. I think a lot of the black women on there are black women who have been in a lot of different dating situations and can't find love. So they just like desperate and want to last resort it by going on these dating apps because they finally want to be open to different things that are outside of what they consider normal. So you got two different types. So you got people on there who have been social outcasts, the black men on there who have been social outcasts for their whole life. And then you have a bunch of black women on there who are not social outcasts, but they're just thinking like, this is my last chance at love type of situation. And I'm open to, let me be open to something. Only to be found out that the people that they open to choose them less than anybody else on the planet. You feel me? So I just think that it's not, I think it's not a good look right now until, and even I don't even think it's good like, oh, let's just start the black dating app. I don't think that's cool either. Like, let's just get back to doing what we do best, which is being communal people and getting outside and finding each other in spaces where there's a common connection, like a familiar connection between person to person type of thing. I meet you through your friend's friend, or you might be my friend's cousin or my cousin's friend, or we might have went to church together, we might work together, or we might have went to college together and we just linked back up some years later, or anything like that. We might have been stationed in the military together, anything. Like, let's get back to that. That's black people. What we do best is commune with each other, come together in the physical. That's our thing. You know what I'm saying? Computer Love, great song, but it's not our thing. It would be cool if it worked out the same way for us as it does for other people, which I don't even think is working out for other people either, because Tinder is just a whole site full of weirdos. Honestly, let's be real. Tinder has a payment platform like subscription, whatever, right? Where they make it so you can do, and I never used it, but I've been reading all this because I wanted to talk about this. And I'm finding out that globally, Tinder has 75% male users and only 25% female. So okay, that's weird already. And then the way that the men are using the app, because it's so hard for them to get chosen, men are getting chosen, 4% of matched, like whatever the thing is where somebody say, I like you, 4% of the time, where women is like 30%. It's something crazy like that, right? big gap in who's being chosen between men and women. And then there's a way to boost how often you are seen and matched with and liked and all that. So Tinder is making 96% of their revenue off of men and only 4% off of women. And not that that's a problem on Tinder's end. It's a problem because that tells you what type of dudes are on this app. A bunch of dudes that are looking to do anything with their money to try to get women's attention. They want to buy super likes, or I don't know if you buy them or if you buy a super like and give it to somebody, whatever the situation is. Tinder is making 96% of their revenue off of men trying to get women's attention. If that's the case, you could just spend your money in real life and go meet women like that. You rather give the money to Tinder and have them give it to the women in a roundabout way, then it's just like, to me, when I was reading that information, I'm like, is this like baby OnlyFans or like, what is this? Because how are they making 96%? So are the women even on there because they're looking for dates, or are they on there because they know that that's a new revenue stream? Because it's only 24% women. In America, they have 65% men versus 35% women on Tinder. And the reason I'm talking about Tinder specifically is because that's the most popular dating app on the planet. So they have the biggest market share. So we can use them as a good gauge of what's going on in the whole dating app world, because they have the most users, they have the most data that's public, all this good stuff, right? So you got a bunch of weirdo. I don't want to call them all weird. There's a lot of weirdos on these dating apps, and they're doing weird things that the men, not just black men, the men that are on dating apps are the type of men that would have been on dating apps 30 years ago or dating on the internet 30 years ago. A lot of the women that are on there would not even have been on the internet 30 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So that's the major difference there. These dudes have been social outcasts, so they don't mind being weird as hell. You see what I'm saying? That's just the lane that they've been in for forever. So that's, you're going to get a lot of these weirdo stories because these are the type of people that you're running into on these apps. And the dudes who don't have a problem talking to women in real life, they're never going to make a dating app profile. It's just never going to happen. Even if you might think somebody, oh, he's good looking and all this, he's good looking, he's on the dating app. So he's still the type of person to make a dating profile. Whether you think he looks good or not, he's the type of person to make a dating app profile. You do the math on that. He's one of these type of people. So you're going to probably have a weirdo encounter with that type of person. It just is what it is. You see what I'm saying? So I think black people should get off dating apps, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. That's just my take. You understand? I know some people might disagree with that. They, oh no, find love however you're gonna find it. Okay, cool. I think y'all gonna keep running into a lot of these weirdo situations if y'all keep on doing it. Hey, look, I was sitting there thinking and whatever. Y'all ever thought about like what was it about Pixar? When Pixar was first created, the first movie that they spent years on trying to make was Toy Story. Right? What about Toy Story and their creators and writers made them say, we about to show the white trenches. We going straight, we going white broken family with this one. Andy's mom was a single white mom with an infant. So her man just left her. Her man got her pregnant and bounced on her immediately. What was it about Pixar that made them do that? That never stood out. That never stood out to me, honestly. It stood out. It just jumped out at me recently. I'm like, damn. So Pixar and Disney, Disney is known for their family movies and all that type of stuff. So what made them say, yo, you know what we about to do? We're going to give this woman a kid, Andy, ADHD, little hyperactive memory or hyperactive behavior, white boy. And we're going to give it a little baby girl and no dad in the house. No dad in the house. So now the little boy imagination going crazy. He think his toys talk to themselves, talk to each other when he leave the room. This boy got ADHD. ADHD, no dad in the home. Newborn baby. Let's think about it. Like what was going on what was going on in the writer of that movie's head when they said, we got him. Single mom. And then the next door neighbor, straight white trash. We going white trash with the next door neighbor. We gonna give him a badass kid that's a delinquent. He's on his way to jail for sure. He gonna be on drugs. The mom can't even supervise the kids. We don't know where she at when Sid was doing all the running around he was doing. You understand? They got the backyard trapped out. They got the dog tied up to the shed when they outside. You know, he in the backyard blowing up firecrackers in the middle of the day and all this type of stuff. Like Sid was a delinquent with no dad in the house. Anna was in there running around screaming all throughout the day because Sid was scaring her and all this. Like, what was on their mind when they made this movie? I'm not mad at it because that's, if you know, people that only know white people from TV, they think that all white people are like Full House. In real life, white people really, you go to these white houses in real life, it's like Sid's house. You know what I'm saying? It's even more like Sid's house than Andy's house. If you really grew up around white people, that's how they really living for most of them. A lot of them. It's way more honey boo boos than Paris Hilton situations. You see what I'm saying? But when they do the stereotypical white girl thing, it's like the ditzy blonde that's like skinny, anorexic. That ain't the regular white person. It's not. So I just like, yo, they went deep in they like realistic bag for Toy Story. And it was like, wow. Not the toy. Like the toys was moving and talking and all that because Andy had ADHD. That's what that was about. He had a hyperactive imagination, so he was making himself believe. Everything we saw on Toy Story, all the movies, is what Andy was making us believe he was thinking was really happening. Yeah, I mean, the boy had ADHD, but the rest of the stuff, they went real white people on them tracks. No dad in the crib, next door neighbors delinquents. We don't even know why she moved. She probably got evicted. Andy and his family probably really got evicted. They never even gave us the breakdown on that. But now that I'm really doing the science on this. They got evicted. Everybody think evicted mean you just, your stuff get put on the curb. Not everybody. Everybody don't think that. But a lot of people think you get evicted, your stuff get put on the curb. Sometimes you get evicted and they like, all right, you got 30 days to move. Remember the toys was tripping like, dang, they about to move already? Like, I didn't even know that was here. That's because it got moved up. The sheriff came, put the note on the door. Y'all got to go. They got evicted, man. Listen, I don't make the rules. I'm just telling y'all what I seen. That's the movie. ADHD, broken home, delinquent next door. You see what I'm saying? Even when remember Buzz Lightyear realized that he was a toy because he seen a commercial. Who y'all think that was sitting up in the room with all the trash in the room that was really supposed to be beer cans and all that, but it was grape soda and all this stuff. Who y'all think that was? That was Sid's alcoholic dad right there. So he was he had a reclining chair upstairs in the room while he's sitting back watching Buzz Lightyear commercials with a bunch of trash everywhere. Come on, Sid's dad was an alcoholic, man. So you got Sid's dad's alcoholic. The mom can't control the kids. Their next door neighbor just got evicted. So Andy and his family got to move. Come on. Whoever was in that Toy Story writing room when they was cooking that up, they was in a bag. They was in a duffel. They was in a go-yard duffel with that one. You know what I'm saying? Because they you know what I'm saying? That's Toy Story might be the white color purple. I'm talking about trauma-wise. Trauma-wise, it might be the white color purple. I don't know. I'm not saying, no, you know what, color purple is too traumatic. I don't know if 8 Mile might be the white color purple. That's they thing right there. But look, y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. I'm putting it out there. Come on, man. Alcoholic dad, Sid was going through stuff, man. Andy was going through stuff. I don't even know Andy's mom's name. I can't even think of her name, if they even never gave her a name. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. Did y'all see the same Toy Story I saw? That's all I'm saying. Did y'all see, speaking of watching stuff, so on Netflix, they got a show called High on the Hog, right? And season 2 just came out. High on the Hog is really a show about Black American culinary history, pretty much. It seems to have like run out of Black American stuff, so they started kind of deviating, and it's a lot more African centered on this season. but it's still some good information in there. Not maybe not all the most accurate, but still some good stuff in there, and it can lead you on a path to go learning some other stuff about, especially the Black American culinary history and stuff we invented here, and the stuff that we brought with us from overseas, from Africa, stuff like that, from the west coast of Africa, Ghana, Benin, all these places over there. Excuse me. So y'all go check that out. But it made me realize though why, and I already knew that I liked Keith Lee, but it just like brought it up in my head more, like I want to speak about it. Why I like Keith Lee, right? What Keith Lee is doing. Because on shows like High on the Hog, where you have these people who are classically trained in the culinary arts and things like that, they went to school for culinary science. I feel like a lot of those people, not just black people, but a lot of people who went to school and are trained in culinary, they all say the same stuff is good or not good. Like, it's like you can't even be respected in the French culinary tradition or the French culinary world or mindset or framework or whatever if you don't say the base level is good or not good. Meaning the steak or beef should be cooked the way that they say it should be cooked. The fish should be cooked the way they say it should be cooked. The noodle, the pasta, whatever should be cooked the way. So you have this baseline of make everything the way, not only prepare things the way we say to prepare it, but if it's not prepared this way, it's not even worthy of being judged because it's not right. It's not good. It's not even good because it's not right. We can't even taste it. It's just not good. So meaning y'all don't really have any type of personality, no type of opinions, none of that, because y'all are all using the same mindset of the person who taught you, which is the person that taught them, which is the books that come from the French background. And me, I don't really respect that because most people don't eat that way. Most people don't judge food that way either. Whereas Keith Lee is just a person who was not trained in culinary anything. He's just a normal person that was a fighter. So he had to eat, MMA fighter. So he had to eat a whole lot of meals per day to keep his whole routine in check. And he's just like, I like this or I don't. And this is the reason why I like it. This seasoning tastes good like this. This season combination with this seasoning is good for me. This texture with this is good to me. I like it. Y'all should try it. It's just that. It's not, oh, this wasn't prepared this way. I'm opening it up. I could tell, oh, what temperature did you cook this at? That's weak. Because everybody shouldn't say that if it's not done this one way, it's not right. So I can't even eat this. I watch plenty of food competition shows. They'll cut something open. If it ain't the right pinkness, they're gonna say they won't even eat it. So you are not a food critic to me. You just somebody that's following somebody. It's like whoever made up the original foundation on how you critique food. You have no, so we don't even really need to hear nothing you got to say. Just pull out the book and show us what the book say, because you don't have an opinion. You just following some white people from a long time ago, really. Shout out to Keith Lee, man. I like what you got going on, my boy. Oh man, that's far away. I cannot tell how much time we got in here. Yeah, man. I really do want people to have more originality in how they critique things, man. Honestly, if it's just somebody else's opinion that you're regurgitating, like, keep it. I don't need to hear. It's not an opinion from you. It's not your opinion. You're just saying what somebody else told you're supposed to say. Same thing with rap. Your top five is a bunch of people from 30 years ago that don't measure up to anybody after them as far statistically, then okay, it's the same thing as the culinary thing to me. Then you don't really have an opinion. You're just repeating what somebody else said. Because what criteria are you using? Is it word flipping and all that? Because there's other people who got that type of wordsmith game after that. You don't even consider them. So, but anyway. Let me move on to something because I'm gonna need my phone for this one because I got to do some reading. Because this is a major situation going on, right? And this is a congressman by the name of Adam Smith who was he's trying to get a bill passed through Congress. And you know what the bill is for? To restrict hedge funds from owning single family homes. Now that's major to me. I'm gonna tell you why it's major. Because if you've been a fan of what I've been doing, way back in 2020 and 2021, I was telling y'all about institutional and maybe before that, institutional investors were messing up the housing market. I've been saying this for years. Institutional investors are destroying the housing market with what they're doing with these prices. I said that the biggest culprit, because I'm in Atlanta and I can see what's going on in Atlanta, but there's other markets who have different culprits. A lot of people blame Zillow. I said Divvy. Is causing the most damaging issues right now when it comes to the housing market. I called that in 2021, and look at the housing market right now. The housing market is at a standstill right now. Some people feel like it's because of the prices. Because of interest rates. I don't think it's because of interest rates. I think it's because of how high these prices have gotten for no reason. Literally the only reason prices jump so high so fast is because when you get a cash offer, you get to bypass a lot of the checks and balances that keep prices within the appraised range, with the appraised value of the home, right? So if me personally as a buyer, I have to get a loan to get a $400,000 house, right? To get that $400,000 house and to get that loan, the company that's going to give me the loan is going to send an appraiser to the house. They're going to say, is this house actually worth $400,000? If they look at the house and say, this house is worth $315,000, the lending company is never going to give me $400,000 to get that loan. Never. There's not a situation where they will ever give it to me, right? But when you have institutional investors like Divvy backing up people like just Joe Schmo who wants to buy a house. So now I can get Divvy behind me, right? And Divvy will give me $400,000 to get that house. Because and then they'll buy it cash. And when you go buy a house cash, there's no lender in place to say that's not a $400,000 house. Because the person selling the house, they don't care how much you give them. They want top dollar. They're not going to stop you from paying too much for a house. They're going to encourage you to pay too much for the house, actually, right? So when you remove the appraisal process by going through a cash buying process, you essentially can increase the housing prices exponentially. And not exponentially, of course, but you can, in theory, increase the housing prices exponentially because there's nothing to stop the prices from keep on going up. And so I just read something, right, that said, let me pull it back up. I just read something that said, and I'm doing all background right now, okay? Because, my bad, y'all, my bad. Oh, I'm doing background right now because then I'll get into reading this press release here. In 2011, no single entity owned over 1,000 single-family rental units. As of June 2022, the Urban Institute estimates that large hedge funds and other institutional investors own roughly 574,000 single-family homes. Think about this. Nobody owned over 1,000 units in 2011. Like nobody. No entity, no business, no investor, no nothing, nobody. Right? 10 years later, hedge funds and institutional investors own 570,000 combined, right? 570,000. So that's a sick situation for an increase over 10 years. And really that was helped out by foreclosures going crazy during the housing crisis and everything like that, and really cities selling whole pockets of houses for 500 houses at a time to investors for $40 or whatever the situation was. They set this situation up to be the way it is, but it still took a long time. And as you see, which is why I say Divvy is the real, Divvy and companies like Divvy is the real cause, because this whole hedge fund thing has been going on pretty much since the housing crisis started, 09, 2000. Whenever people started to actually lose their houses, that's when the hedge funds started to buy them in bulk, right? But we didn't see home prices jump crazy until the last 3 years, right? The pandemic, 2020, even in 2020, I was shopping for houses and I was trying to sell my house. Houses were still sitting and houses were still going for under market value or under asking price, right? It was 2021 and 2022 where all of that under asking price, that went out the window. It was no more of that. Now everything, to get the house I got right now, I had to go 40,000 over asking. 40,000 over asking. You see what I'm saying? Back in the day, if you did have to bid and go back and forth on a house, you might have went $1,000 or $2,000 above asking. Maybe. My first house, I went $4,000 above asking, and that was enough to like make the other person back all the way out and say, I don't want it. And that was on the house, my first crib, it was on the market for $59,000, right? It was, we both put bids in. Me and another buyer put a bid in for $59,000 or whatever. We might have went under at that time because everybody, you put a bid in for under. And then the seller came back and said, nah, we already got something in there. We got a full price offer, whatever it was. So I said, yo, go up to 63. I want to offer $63,000. And that got the house. Versus the house I'm in now where I said, I want this house bad enough. Is a fixer-upper when I got it. I said, put 40 on top of that. I want it. And the seller still came back and said, nah, we got another one that's the same thing. And it's cat. He was lying clearly. But that's show you how crazy stuff got in 2021, 2022, all that. 40, I had to put 40 on top of the asking to get this crib. You see what I'm saying? That's from Divvy and them running up the numbers. I didn't use Divvy. That's from Divvy and them running the numbers up like that. So where now people who really can't afford to be going all up like that, now Divvy is behind them, helping them do that. So now Divvy is like, yo, the house is listed for 170 right now. Yo, give them 200 so we can get this out. That's what Divvy was doing. Give them 200. And now you got a house for 200,000 that's not worth 200,000. You only got it for 200 because Divvy backed you up to say that you should be able to get the house. Anyway, let me read. Let's go back to the beginning here, right? Representative Adam Smith and Senator Jeff Merkley teamed up to introduce the bicameral End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023. This legislation responds directly and forcefully to a persistent and growing problem. What happens when Wall Street buys most of the homes on your block? The purchasing of single-family homes by hedge funds, especially in the current housing market, has made it difficult for middle-class Americans to become homeowners and is contributing to America's twin crises of housing unaffordability and wealth inequality. Right? And that's so important because shout out to Adam Smith out in Washington, Democrat out in Washington. He said, look, I could be critical of the Democrats, but when you got somebody that come with something good like this, you got to shout them out. So shout out to the Democrat Adam Smith, right? You got to shout him out for that. Following the 2008 housing crisis, large private equity firms and hedge funds bought substantial portfolios of foreclosed homes as an investment opportunity. The federal government enabled this growth through bulk sales of federally backed mortgages and foreclosed properties. This decision excluded ordinary families and mission-driven nonprofits from buying these homes and returning them to families in need of stable housing. So now they want to make sure that that this can't be done. So let me read what's going to happen here if this is passed. The End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act seeks to put an end to this harmful practice of hedge funds buying up single-family homes by banning hedge funds from owning these types of homes and requiring them to sell at least 10% of the total number of single-family homes they currently own to families per year over a 10-year period. After a 10-year full phase-out, all hedge funds will be permanently banned from owning single-family homes. Now, this is just something that they're trying to get past, but if you really like the fight that they're going to have with this, because these hedge funds have so many billions of dollars to fight back. So it's probably going to be hard to get this one passed. They probably won't get it passed, but I just hope they do, because these hedge funds and these institutional investors have been really messing up the housing market. This would be major in just the entire history of real estate ownership. This would be major for retail owners, and this would be major for investors, because it seems that they propose a penalty, but only for companies who own more than 100 homes, 100 single family homes. So it's not that you can't invest anymore. It's just that you can't become a whale. And that's a crypto term, but you can't become a whale in this investment thing. You can't because you got a couple partners and y'all could put together a couple $1 billion of people's retirement money. Y'all just go buy every single family home in America. That's not going to work, because then you creating some stuff that's just not going to make it good for future generations. Especially since the majority of all people with wealth, the majority of their net worth is in the home that they own, especially the personal home that they own, but in homes, period, real estate that they own, right? Most people who are millionaires in this country are not millionaires because they have $1 million in the bank or because they make $1 million from their business or job. It's because they own a home that is worth over $1 million, right? That's where a lot of millionaires come from. So let me see if I can find some more good stuff that'll be interesting. Let me see here. Give me a second. When people buy homes, doors open to opportunities. Okay, because Georgia has Nikema Williams. She's fighting a good fight with them, so I like that. I respect that. Large corporate investors are gutting the U.S. housing market and making it nearly impossible for the average person to purchase a single-family home. This is destroying the American dream. This is said by Ruth Susswine of Consumer Action's Director of Consumer Protection. That's real. Let me see. Man, there is some good, like, I feel like everybody should go read up on this. And if you get a chance to support a politician that's pushing this, I think that's just me. I think you should get behind that. I think this is important. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, if you've been listening to me for years, and before I had a podcast, I started my podcast 2016. Before I had a podcast, I've been telling people, buy a house. I've been telling people how to buy a house. I've been telling people the different options, the different down payment assistance programs, the different loan types, just where you could look to get a house, what you probably want to compromise on if you want to get a house just so you can get in the game. I've been trying to help people for many years get a house, but I can't do it for you. Buying a home is such a personal thing. Only you can do it for yourself. Like, nobody can really, you know what I'm saying? It's not like buying a car. It requires so much more paperwork and due diligence than buying a car. Like, I can go to a dealership and really buy somebody else a car. Going to buy somebody else a house is probably the most involved thing you'll ever see. But buying a house is more involved than getting married. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the most involved thing you can do. It's going to require the most paperwork ever. You probably signed just as much paperwork to buy a house as I did to join the military. It's probably more paperwork, actually, when I think about it, because I still got my record. My original record that I joined the military with, I still got it. My paperwork closing on a house is thicker than that. You sign, like, it's the most involved process, period. You got to get involved as soon as you can. So you want to support these type of legislation proposals, man, because this is important for most people. Let me see if I can read some more here. This is from Jeff Merkley in Oregon, who is also teaming up with Adam Smith to push this. Let's see, what else can I read here? The legislation bans hedge funds and all other investors from owning large numbers of homes by establishing a $20,000 federal tax penalty per single family home owned in excess of 100. To help ensure affordability for families, revenue from this tax are reserved for down payment assistance programs. So look, when this is the type of stuff that you do when you become a politician. You just propose things that make sense, right? All you got to do is show up for your people and make proposals that make sense for your people. They said, we are going to tax any hedge fund that owns homes over. So if they have a max quantity over 100, or if they have a quantity over 100 of single family homes that they own, for each property, they will be taxed $20,000. That tax will sit and go into a fund that will be only for people to use for down payment assistance. That just makes the most sense. That just makes too much sense. So it probably won't get passed because a lot of times our government, they don't like to pass things that make sense. They really don't. So shout out to Adam Smith and Jeff Merkley, out of Oregon and Washington. Y'all really stood tall with this one, man. Y'all really stood tall with this one. And that's all I really got for you. I did want to say one more thing, cause I think that if you get a chance, black men, check this book out, The Man Not by Dr. Tommy Curry. You know what I'm saying? This is actually a very heavy read right here. And not heavy like emotionally, but heavy information intensive. Like you got to put your thinking cap on to really get with this one, because Tommy Curry is hardcore, but his whole thing around this, and just specifically, is about how black men, and it's called the man not, because like black men are pretty much male. We're just bodies. We're just black male bodies to America. And that's the history of our body in this country, has just been for labor, for sex, and for flesh, for other fleshy things, right? And it talks about the extensive history of black male sexual assault against us, and how a lot of that sexual assault also turns the victims into the perpetrators and the victim into the predator and all that type of stuff. And then how it's used to make large, broad statements about black men in general, when really that's a victim that's doing victim things that you're talking about right there. So I think that this should be required reading right here, honestly. And this is a hard copy. You know what I'm saying? You could do whatever version you can find, but I say read this, man. Professor of Philosophy and Africana Studies at Texas A&M University. So he's at a big time university teaching the good teach, man. So y'all check that out, man. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me for another episode. Make sure you like, share, comment on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Regular Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Regular Network. Make sure you follow the Instagram page, The Regular Network. And I'm out here, man.